So hello everyone. In the previous video, we just started data binding, and we have just see one of the type of data binding is that interpolation. So we have covered in the last video. So in this video, we gonna see the second type of the data binding is that property binding. So let's see what is property binding. So as you see in the previous video, uh, what is interpolation? So interpolation is a dynamic data display on HTML template, and so as is the property binding, but there is a little bit of difference in the property binding and the interpolation is that the only difference between interpolation and property binding is that we should not store non-string values in variables while using interpolation. Means when we are using with the boolean values, we just prefer the property binding, not the interpolation. So, and this is the syntax of the property binding, just using square bracket and the variable name, and then in the double quotes a variable name here. So let's see what is the property binding with the help of code. So this is a project which we have created. So let's see what is the property binding. So here, let's say name equals to Angular, and let's make one more thing. Title just equals to jump this one, Angular tutorials. So this is our title. Now the same thing we do in the interpolation we have to do like this, but just a different syntax. So let's suppose we are creating a input type here, our input box. So what should we give the value for that input box is that title, but here we are using the property binding, so we have to use the syntax like I told you with the square brackets. So just using square brackets here and this. So let's give some style this one, using the style. Wait. Using the style, and in style we give just a color like green. Just save it, and yes, compiled successfully. Let's go to our browser, and here we can see this we are getting the Angular tutorials. So you can see we give a value, a title, and the title is Angular tutorials, so that we getting here Angular tutorials. Here in the input box we can change it if we wanna change. So this is how we use the property binding. But now you can see, you can say that interpolation and property binding is like a same. We are fetching or just retrieving the data from here and printing it on the web page using the help of different syntax. Different syntax in like interpolation we have the double curly braces, and here we use square braces. So you can say what is the difference between them? Just only the syntax, but no, it's not just a difference of the syntax, but other differences are also. So I will show you what is the difference between the property binding and the interpolation. So the main difference is that we see here uh, that uh, interpolation does not store the non-string values, or means it does not contain the boolean values. So let's work with that boolean values. So we have just created a button, And first of all, we create another property, like we have to disable any button. So we make it a disable, make it capital, uh, camel case. So okay, so we have to make a is disabled variable which is true, so we just wanna disable the button. So how we use this in the interpolation, you know the syntax in double curly braces. Use this is disabled, and just give a name to it, submit. This is how we use interpolation. But if we use this for property binding, so how we give this, we have to give this property, disabled property, into the square braces, and is disabled into a single quotes, and here just also say it as submit, and just save. Yeah, compiled successfully. So let's go to our browser. We can see both the buttons are disabled. Now we see that it works, the interpolation works also for the boolean value, but it's not true. If we change it from true to false, so now you can see the second one. The second one means the property binding is shown or clickable, but the interpolation one is disabled when we makes it true. You can see here we makes it false, so sorry, we make it false means the button has to be shown, or it should not be disabled. But in interpolation we can see it is still disabled. So what's here, that interpolation is taking it as a string, and it doesn't know what was that, it was just taking as a string. So it will make it as it is, or it will make it as a disabled. So this is the difference between the property binding and the interpolation. So basically we use the property binding mainly when we have to change a property or a attribute of anything. So we use the property binding, like here we have changed the disabled property here of a button. So we use the property binding. So whenever we have to change the value, we have to change a property or attribute of anything, we just go with the property binding, not the interpolation. So this is just a small difference between the interpolation and property binding. So that's it for the video. Thank you.